Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Stoney.
Hello.
And Jason.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry if I sound congested. I've been, the worst of it is gone, but I still have this kind of like closed nose kind of sound, so I sound a little...
That's all right.
We're still, so.
Weather is causing all this problems right now. I think it's fixing to get like really cold at the end of this week.
It's supposed to be down in the 20s.
It got to almost below freezing last night.
There may be snow in South Louisiana on Christmas Day.
Wow.
You know, I've seen some long range forecasts, and I don't know. I don't trust them when it comes to snow. I often find when it snows here, it kind of just like happens by chance. It's like no one's expecting it, so there's not this big build up for it, and all of a sudden, oh, it's snowing outside.
Right.
So I don't know, but it's going to be cold. I mean, I think I saw a low of one forecast called like 18.
Wow. Okay.
Because, I mean, I'm going to go to midnight mass, and when I go to midnight mass, it's going to be cold.
To all our listeners, please make sure you wrap your pipes. And have
the
one
3
or two
Ps.
of them, one of them on each end of the house, just dripping a little bit. Make sure you don't get a frozen pipe.
For all those that don't live in the north and don't have boilers and things that can take care of that sort of stuff. Yeah, all of us down here have to wrap our pipes, and gosh, I remember last year that was something that happened. It was 2 years ago, I think. Whenever that big freeze came through and like it kind of messed up Texas real bad.
2017 or 18,
Something like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was living here, which my house is elevated, and the pipes are underneath it. Obviously, how houses like that work around here, and I had my water running like just a little bit, like you're supposed to keep it circulating. Right. But I think at some point in time, and I'll fess up to this because I think I was the one to blame. At some point in the middle of the night or really early in the morning, I went to the bathroom, washed my hands, and then just out of instinct turned the faucet all the way off in the bathroom that I had. And I don't think I had another one running in the other end of the house over here. So that was the only one going. And when I woke up, we had no water pressure. And I was like, hey, Dad, so how can you tell if you busted a pipe or not? And he's like, go outside. I like feel the water main. He's like, if all the faucets are off in the house and you feel the water, you feel the pipe rumbling like water's going through it, it's busted somewhere. Turned off all the faucets, walked outside, felt it, and I felt it like rumbling in my hand. And as I was feeling it, I heard like a sound from like the other end of the house, and I was like, what the? And I looked underneath it, and I saw the pipe that was severed, and it was just like flowing water into the backyard. And I was like, well,
that's depressing.
I would say for the tags, we could do hashtag wrap your pipes, and I'm sure that may not pop out the way we want it to come out. So let's not use that hashtag.
Merry Christmas.
Pets, pipes, and plants.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got to worry about my greenhouse. I'm gonna see how I may end up having to move all my really, truly sensitive stuff inside my house because I can't get I can't protect my...
What kind of sensitive stuff do you have?
I have some tropical plants.
Oh, yeah, they don't
Can't
like
put
that.
a little heater in there?
Yeah, but that's not going to do it. Not if it gets down as what they're talking about. They're talking about barely even getting above freezing all day.
Okay.
So we're talking...
Really?
Yeah, they're talking extended freeze. So this is... this could be...
Yeah.
This is probably not as, I don't think it's going to be bad as what it was in 1989 and 83, because I remember those two winters, and those were just flat out brutal. I mean, right. I think the air temps got down into single digits. Over here. So, yeah. Jeez. I don't think it's going to get that cold, but I remember, what was that, 89? That's when they had that explosion.
Mm-hmm. Explosion? What the? That's before my time. I don't know anything about that.
Looks like they're showing a low Thursday at 22 and Friday at 21, Saturday at 25. So, but the
Partly cloudy
daytime,
with a chance of rain.
That's
okay.
right. No, that's great.
Just wanna-
But it's not getting above 60 until then.
Yeah, it's going to be flat out chilly.
Wow. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty sure last year we had a hot Christmas, so I'm actually not complaining at all if we have a cold Christmas this year.
Right.
I don't mind cold Christmas. I don't want it to be that kind of cold. That's just
You don't want a frigid Christmas?
I don't want a frigid Christmas. Okay.
Well,
What
how
about
do you
like
get-
what
if
about
you don't
like
have frigid? How do you get snow? You
what
gotta
about
have a little
like
frigid.
40 degrees?
Right.
Oh, that's chilly. That's not
A
cold.
reasonable temperature. I love the cold.
Mhm.
Last night, Mallory and I were getting some last minute like Christmas stuff, like wrappings and bags and stuff like that we had forgotten about. And we walked outside, and it had really dropped by the time we walked outside.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I wasn't wearing the appropriate jacket for that kind of weather. I want to say, I will toot my own horn here for a second. I walked outside and I was like, I know what this kind of cold feels like, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're tiptoeing on freezing temperatures. And Mallory's like, nah, there's no way. And I was like, I would wager that it is 36. And then it was like 34 last night.
There you
And
go.
I was like, see, I was like, I have numerous times walked out in cold like this and be like, I know how my skin feels right now. It's cold out here. And again, because earlier that day it was not that cold, so I had like a light jacket on. It's no big deal. I was like carrying all these bags of stuff, and I'm like, oh gosh, it's so. And again, my poor old truck, the heater doesn't work in it very well at all. So I was like, sorry, we're gonna just gotta suck it up.
I've been cold 3 times in my life. -11,
yeah,
-11, and -42.
Negative 42.
-42 is where they freeze dry food. Okay,
That's
but
just
-11 in Aspen and -11 in Chicago, and I can attest to this that those are 2 different type colds.
yeah.
The -11 in Aspen, I probably had on a long sleeve shirt and a light jacket, but in Chicago, you can have 8
Oh, the wind.
cold winter, that lake effect wind coming off of there.
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
You can't get warm enough.
That's the same thing with Saskatchewan. So I lived in the prairie lands. It was flat and it was cold.
And the wind blew.
And the wind blew from the Canadian Rockies. What they always would say is like all the wind from the Rocky Mountains would flow over, and it's got nothing but flat land to just keep on going east. And so there's like you'd stand
like being in the Dakotas or something, Nebraska.
Yeah, you're right.
You know.
And so there was a couple times where like it would be. Now again, I followed Celsius there, so it would be like -20 or so, or 25, and the wind chill would be like 30 something, like -30 something. And you're like, oh, I get it, but like it's whenever the wind would blow, it feels like it just would cut right through you, no matter what you had. It was like whenever like a good
you
big
just
gust
can't
of
wear
wind would
enough
come,
for that.
it was like, man, it is frigid out here.
The wind is what kills you.
Yeah,
I mean,
the hardest part for me, speaking of, is like I want to say that the coldest it ever got for me in Canada was in like a January, like mid-January, and I want to say it was like -35, but the wind chill was -40. So it's just like that, like things would freeze.
Yes.
Like,
you can't be out in that weather that
No.
long.
You can't. You actually, even at -11, you can't have exposed skin.
yeah,
It will freeze dry it. We were snowmobiling. We had a friend of ours who hit a limb and took off his neoprene mask, and it froze a hole in the side of his cheek.
jeez,
Ouch.
Yep. And actually, most people don't realize this, but the eastern slope of Colorado, the western slope of Colorado, buys just as much or more sunscreen than Florida does,
Man. Oh yeah,
because you're so high and there's no pollution or clouds. In some places, you're above the clouds.
UV rays are hitting
You can get a 3rd-degree sunburn in less than an hour. So you have to be very, very careful. And when you mix that with the normal humidity there is 17%.
right.
If a storm blows through, if it's above you, if you're not above the storm, it goes up to 40, humidity. And then as soon as the storm blows through, it's back down to 17. So it's very dry, very cold, and brutal if you're not prepared.
Yeah. For me, the one thing that it was probably -20, I don't know, -25 or so Celsius, which is again, once you start getting the negatives in Celsius is when I kind of lose it in Fahrenheit, because they get so close to each other. It's hard to like differentiate a little bit for me. Once you're in the positives, I can usually do a pretty good like 1-to-1 reference.
Well, 0 is 32.
Right. Well, but I know that like 16 is like 60.
Right.
10 is 50. It's like that kind of. I can do pretty good appropriate numbers, but once you start getting to negatives, they get really close to each other. So I want to say it was like minus 25 Celsius, and I went to go walk down to go grab a pizza like around the corner. It's like maybe a block or so away, and I just ordered it on the phone. And obviously, it's cheaper if you just go pick it up in the store. And I remember I had. I was walking down the the sidewalk or whatever, and I started feeling my nose like kind of feel like it was getting like crusty or whatever, and I didn't realize this until after the fact. As I was walking, I was like, "It's so cold right now." The snot, as my nose is running because it's so cold, is freezing in my nose,
right?
Like actively freezing. And the same thing would happen if my hair was wet after I got out of a shower. If I went to go walk outside and I just like stayed outside for even just like a minute or two, my hair would get like kind of like crispy.
Yeah, but you could
crunchy.
break it too.
Yeah, I didn't.
Break
But it's like, it would freeze enough where like with the little bit of water that was there, it didn't take long at all to just like.
So I remember when I was in Aspen, the last year I was in Aspen, AAA came out and said that if you're going to travel, you need to have a shovel, a small axe, 24 hours of food, minimum of 24 hours of food, sleeping blankets, water, medicine bag, things like that, just for basic survival. And I felt so stupid getting on the mass transit bus. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm glad I couldn't live in that kind of environment.
Oh, for me, I would go back to that in a heartbeat.
For me, I never lived like out in the wilderness. I was like in the city. So again, like obviously like the story I just described, I was like within walking distance of like a strip mall. So like I was not in like the.
You weren't roughing it.
No. The exposure that I had to the cold was usually slim. But moments like that when I was like, I'm just gonna like, I can brave this. It's fine with a scarf and some gloves, and I was okay. Sometimes I bit off a little more than I could chew.
So when you were up in Canada, I mean, did people, like, when it got that cold, I mean, did people move around? I mean, or did pretty much everybody just kind of lock down in their house?
Have you ever heard the words dog sled?
I mean, the thing is, like, that wasn't always. It's kind of like for us, like how a lot of times, we'll get like 1 or 2 months out of the year that'll be like super hot, like in that 80, 90 range,
right?
Where we kind of deal with it, but sometimes people won't do as much. It was kind of the same thing with like that late December, January time, where it would get that frigid, and some people would kind of just be like, "We got to be careful."
Well, they've lived in it all their lives,
right.
So they kind of know how to manage it.
But for the most part, like December would be like negative 15, so it's like. That's closer to like what we would call like 16 or 20 degrees.
Right.
That kind of like, so it was cold, but like we could live. Sometimes you get a warm day in December and it would be close to like 29, 30. Wouldn't quite thaw everything out, but you're like, oh buddy, we're getting somewhere.
Right.
It's a nice warm day, quote unquote.
Right.
So anyways, but that was that was my experience there. And I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, but that January time, sometimes it would get real bad, and you're like, yeah, we gotta be careful here. But for the most part, like I said, we lived in a city, so it was like, again, your exposure is any businesses that were like on the outskirts of the city kind of got it a little more worse because you had that, like, there was no buffer of any other like buildings or stuff or anything else. So there was a church that I attended that was like on the outskirts of the city, and like there was one time. I was dumb and didn't think about it. Forgot my gloves in the car because I was just going to go run in real quick. But the entrance I was going to go into was locked. And like you could just feel the wind coming across the prairie field to the south or whatever. And I went to go grab that metal door handle just with all confidence, and it was locked. And then as I did, I held on for just 1 or 2 seconds. I let go and I felt my hand burn. Like I was, it was because it was
freeze burned your hand.
Yeah, it was because again that metal was, every bit of probably negative 20 degrees, and I sat there. And of course, as I pulled it and it was closed, I let go and I was like, oh my god, that was such a bad idea. I was like, I can't believe I just did that. So, anyways, that was.
You do have to get used to a different lifestyle that cold.
Right.
But I would do it again in a heartbeat.
It was fun.
Why do you find that so pleasing?
because a lot of times you don't have a lot of people up your butt. You know, it's a little bit more rural. You're away from people. The scenery is gorgeous. I like that. I like that better, absolutely more better than the beach. And it just appeals to me more. I like the mountains. I like the trees. I like the actual seasons.
I feel the same way.
You get 4 definitive seasons. Here in Louisiana, I think we have 4 seasons. They're just different. What is it? Crawfish, Mardi Gras, hurricane, and what's
Christmas? Probably.
There's one more season.
We're closer to the equator.
Right. Yeah.
But it's just nice. It's cleaner. It's crisp. It's like the cold air just kind of cleans things up a little bit.
Well, I think for me, the big thing is it gets rid of a lot of bugs.
Oh, yeah.
A lot around here. Like I just feel like we're.
Everything grows around
I'm telling you, everything grows.
Everything grows.
And I feel like it grows 3 times bigger than it ought to. So I just feel like.
Well, the growing season is a lot bigger.
Yeah. And that's okay. Like it is what you sign up for here in some way. But it's funny to see like what they would consider like a big bug. Up in Canada, like during the summertime, I was like, what is that? I felt like I was an Australian, like how they see like crazy stuff over there. I was like, you should have saw some of the critters I've seen in Louisiana. This is nothing compared to that.
Well, I ended my protective services career in Colorado. I was working for an Italian gentleman there, and he was a big fly fisherman.
Fun.
And he's like, hey, man, we're gonna teach you how to fly fish. Oh, I'm like, no. He said, nah, you're going to do this thing here, okay? You're going to do this thing. And so he takes me and he spends all of this money to get me outfitted, like $12,000.
Oh, my gosh.
To get me outfitted in all
nice
the fly
equipment.
fishing. Well, he
really wants you to start this hobby.
He was very particular about what he bought. And so we're out there, and he's showing me how to start, the fly fishing thing, and I'm learning. I'm being able to do a little bit, and I catch this fish, and now you got the guys, the bodyguards are around on the bank and stuff,
right.
And him and I are in the water, and you got the little waders, and you got the little basket, and you got the fancy little vest and the little hats, and all the little stuff on you, and your other rods, and everything,
all the toys that are
and I catch this fish, and he starts clapping and applauding. Hey, there you go, and he comes over next to me, and I pull this thing up, and I'm looking at it, and he goes, oh, that's good, and I'm looking at it kind of funny, and he says, what's wrong? And I says, what is this? And he says, you caught a trout, that's good, what's wrong? And I says, do they get any bigger than this? And he said, yes, they do. What do you call that? And I says, well, where I come from, we call that a bait fish. And he was like, what? And so I told him about fishing in Louisiana. Yeah. Well, by that springtime, I had him and his fly rod down in Elmer's Island.
Oh, gosh.
Fly fishing. And he caught his first big bull red.
Yeah, some Loch Ness monsters.
And it was like 30-something inches.
Yeah.
And his hand, where, I don't know if you ever fly fish before, but if you're not careful, you can slit your hand up pretty good.
Right.
He had cuts all over his hand trying to get this bull red in. And that wasn't the only fish we caught that day.
Wow.
So we're sitting there having our cigar at the end of the day. And I said, are you mad at me? And he said, for what? And I says, because, you're all cut up. And he says, that's the best day fishing I ever had in my life. And I said, now do you see why I looked at that little fish like what it was? And he says, I get it now. I get it.
That's
so
funny.
He actually came down a couple of times so we could go fishing just so he could fly fish for the trout. When he caught a real trout, a speckled trout, he was like, what?
Yeah.
Some of those fish they catch in the rivers up there, it's those rainbow trout. Some of them get fairly nice.
Oh, they do, but nothing compared to some of some of our monsters down here, especially the redfish.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, those things are freaking huge.
I love fish.
Yeah?
I eat so much fish. I had salmon last night.
Interesting.
Okay.
Mine is birds. I don't know what it is. I think I've said this on the podcast before. I mean, I don't know what it is about. I mean, I like birds in general. I mean, they're a little weird and quirky, but like, dude.
Do you bird watch?
No, not really. Birds
just
are cool.
like eating birds.
Well, I just like eating birds. I don't know what it is. You give
Do you like duck?
I've had duck. It's interesting.
What about turducken?
I've had it. It's it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a I'll eat it by itself kind of thing.
Pheasant is good
Yeah,
too.
pheasant's interesting. I think I had some pheasant one time, and it was like with this blackberry sauce thing or whatever. Oh, man, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so I've realized that as, if it's a bird of some kind, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it.
I used to dove hunt when I was younger.
Really?
My dad was a big bird hunter. So I went duck hunting and dove hunting a lot.
Wow, okay.
So
interesting.
Ate a lot of birds.
So we started the podcast off pretty good about the cold weather. This was actually supposed to be the Christmas episode because I think
let's talk about Christmas.
Doesn't this one drop the Monday before Christmas?
It does.
And Christmas is kind of weird this year because it falls on a Sunday and Christmas Eve is on a Saturday.
Right.
So that just kind of screws up some things for the holidays and things, doesn't it?
It has thoroughly just thrown me for a loop. I have perpetually throughout this entire season thought that I had more time than I did. I'm like, oh yeah, I have, it's only Christmas is only this long away, and it's like, nope, it's 2 weeks away. I'm like, oh, that's okay. And then of course, just this weekend, everyone's like, oh, you ready for Christmas next weekend? I'm like, it's not next weekend. They're like, yeah, it's next Sunday, and I was like, oh my, what?
Yeah,
yeah, that's exactly right.
It's here.
I had to go to Costco, and yesterday there was no parking spots.
I believe it.
It's packed.
There was nothing. There was no parking spot in Costco. The people were actually parking in the field.
Oh my gosh.
I would never even attempt to even go in the store like that.
No.
I hate, and that's part of it. One thing about Christmas that I do not like is just the hustle and bustle of the commercialization of Christmas.
Yeah.
I was in New York a couple of many years ago, and I was looking, it was Christmas time. It may have been the week before Christmas. And I was holding up a sweater, and I looked at this sweater. And I was looking at it.
I remember this. I remember this story.
This 90-something-year-old woman goes, give me the effing sweater, and rips it out of my hands. You're taking too long. And she ran off. And I'm like,
Merry Christmas
my
to you, ma'am.
God, welcome to New York. But since that time, for many, many years, now it's different. Now that I'm married to Miranda and have Magnus, that I would not go into a store from Halloween until Little Christmas.
Right.
I wouldn't even go into a store. If I needed milk and eggs, that would be something. But I got all the deodorant I needed, all the shaving cream that I needed, everything that I needed to survive.
The little bear hibernation.
That's right. Yeah. And I did not go into a store. It just wasn't worth it to be around the rudeness and the Christmas spirit and
he did hard air quotes around Christmas spirit just in case you couldn't.
I forget. Sometimes we need some cameras here.
No, but I thought it was funny. It was like the way you said it, and I was like, just that way we all know. There was some hard sarcasm with the Christmas spirit aspect. Sorry.
So hopefully one day listeners will have the precast and the postcast recorded, and maybe we'll have some cameras up to where we can see those hard.
Don't worry,
quotes,
we'll get quote cameras.
And it ruined it for me, just the commercialism behind it, and that's why I liked my idea from my friend about. And I'm going to repeat it on the podcast because kids today don't appreciate it. They don't respect and they don't like the presents that they get. And we're practicing this in our household this year. You get 4 presents. Something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. And that's the 4 presents.
It's a cool idea.
And Miranda and I are doing it for each other. We're doing it for Magnus, although there may be a small hiccup in the what he wanted thing because of his behavior and attitude. But I kind of like it. That's a neat idea, and it teaches you or could help teach you about just small appreciation of things.
Right.
I just get gift cards now.
Yeah.
To me, I've given up trying to actually buy gifts. So I just give gift cards.
What can I get Miranda when she got everything she ever wanted when she married me?
Man, I'm telling you, this is getting deep now.
Well, she is. She's a great professional lady. She has pretty much everything that she wants.
Right.
So what can I get her?
Jewelry.
No.
She doesn't like jewelry?
I don't know if you know the story. Did I ever tell you the story about asking her to marry me? Where I work on my second job at a church, Ian and I used to work there.
Right.
There was a lady there who was a prophetess, Miss Doris. And I had met Miranda, and Miss Doris actually said a number of things were going to happen. The podcast was coming out. Yep. She said that we would, the three of us would reach, and this is when we had X-Man here, but you're still that representative now. We would reach worldwide audience. She even prophesied even before this podcast took off. Then she come running up to me one day after church, and she grabs me. She said, Stoney, I need to talk to you. God has a word for you. I says, okay, Miss Doris. I'm thinking, something really bad's going to happen. She says, you're going to ask that girl to marry you, and that's okay.
Whoa.
But whatever you do, don't have a ring for her. I'm like, what? What? How
does this work?
How do you ask a girl to marry you with no ring? And she said, just trust me on this one. She's going to say yes, but don't have a ring. Whatever you do, don't have a ring. I'm like, all right, okay.
Well, yeah.
So a couple of days later, we're just talking, and I took Miranda out to dinner. I says, hey, Miranda, just out of curiosity, I said, if I ever, 5 years from now, I said, if I ever get around to asking you to marry me, do you want me to have a ring, or can we go pick it out together? Oh, thank God. Yes. No, do not get it yourself. Let's pick it out together.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Are you serious? So I was already in the process of planning our engagement. And so I just had a little box with a little tag in it, and it said ring of your choice.
Yeah, I love it.
And, she said yes, obviously, and now we're married. But yeah, you don't buy, she's very eclectic in her jewelry, what her likes and dislikes of that. So
what kind of,
so what I did was,
so what do you do?
We bought each other some stuff we needed,
Mm-hmm.
and she got this gorgeous chair for our cigar room, whiskey room. You saw the little,
yeah, I did.
It's pretty neat, and so we're just what we need. We're just helping each other out with, and that's kind of fun because it's more personal, and it's just fun.
I have to be careful with Mallory. Mallory's love language is giving gifts.
Yeah, you do have to be careful.
But she's not one of those people that just like gives like not good gifts. It's like she really will get to know you, and then we'll just on a whim we'll buy you something nice. And that's hard because she wants that sometimes, and not a lot of people can like give that to her. Is like a thoughtful gift that someone has really considered and is like nice. Because there may be things that she wants, but a lot of times she's also like, you can just, if you know me well enough, you know that there's things that I would really like that would be really meaningful if you bought for me.
But see, that's one of the things I don't like about the Christmas time. That
right.
kind of pressure is unfair.
I know.
There is a lot of pressure now.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, the big jewelry companies, if he didn't get it here, it doesn't mean anything. Well, no. Who wants that kind of pressure?
The big thing for me, like I said, the reason why I have to say I have to be careful was because like this year, what I wanted to do and that she agreed with was I wanted to buy us an espresso machine. Mm-hmm. And I wanted us to kind of
I could see that.
I wanted us to go halvesies on it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, we could definitely do that. And I was like, oh, yes. So we didn't buy each other Christmas this year, but the money that we were going to spend plus a little bit extra, we both pooled together, and we just recently bought an espresso machine.
Okay.
Now, I told her, I was like, it doesn't seem fair, though, because I want to open it with the rest of the family on Christmas. So I was like, I wasn't expecting it to come in until sometime this week. It came in over the weekend. I only bought it at the top of this past week, so it showed up on the doorstep, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was hoping that we get some more time.
So you didn't have to look at it until you could open it.
Well, I'm okay with it, but Mallory's like, oh, that espresso machine's looking really nice. Like, no, we can't open it yet.
What brand did you end up getting?
Breville.
Yeah, that seems the one. I have a friend of mine, she just bought one, and that's what she got.
Yeah,
Breville.
I got the Breville Barista Pro. It's a really nice one. There's obviously better ones that I would like to have, but
what makes one more expensive than the other?
There are numerous features. It's like a larger conversation to get into.
Yeah,
like,
that was the coffee episode.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't think we want to sneak into that.
Which actually we got some pretty good response back from on the coffee episode.
Really?
Yeah, we got some good responses about that.
I make coffee.
Yeah. Well, there's some features and things that are standardized and easier to fix on some more expensive machines. So I would want to get one of those and maybe like a standalone grinder, but like the whole set would be like $1,200 instead of something that I bought, which is more like $800. So there's like a big discrepancy in price where it's like I just want to start. I want to start having my own. I want to start getting in the routine of making espresso at home and doing some fun stuff and with that.
Now,
and
is that a portable unit? Can you bring it to the studio?
I mean, yeah.
What I'm talking about.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Espresso.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's gonna be here in the kitchen, so I mean, we could definitely bring some in here. I can have some ready for you guys if you want. But I mean, like once I get it installed in the house, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's gonna stay right there. So yeah. I mean, maybe if I upgrade one day, I'll put the old one somewhere else. But the good thing is, it doesn't require like a water line hookups or anything. It is all of its like boiler units on the inside, so it's good.
So, do we have any fond memories of Christmas, or some sad memories of Christmas? What do we got going on? This is a tough time of year for everybody.
It is.
There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on presents. There's a lot of pressure on families getting together. There's a lot of pressure on families not getting together and the reasons that people aren't getting together during this time. And it creates a lot of stress. Suicide goes up during this time.
Right.
Overdoses go up during this time. Alcohol poisoning goes up during this time.
I'm not gonna name any names out of respect for everyone involved, but there was some with a particular group. Mallory and I went, or I didn't have the opportunity to go, but Mallory went, and there was like a whole altercation that happened, and it's one of those things where it's like, you gotta love the Christmas time. There's always room for drama and things going on and stuff, but now it definitely has a it put a bad taste in our mouth. Like, is it going to happen again? Like, should we be involved? Like that kind of stuff. So it's like, I didn't get the firsthand experience. And Mallory was like, please, let's distance ourselves.
I can't really think of a bad Christmas I've had. I mean, most of my Christmases, as years, of course, have changed over time. But, of course, after my father's death, back when he passed, it's been almost 30 years ago now.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I know that.
It was sad on that because he was sick about those 2 years leading to his death, right around Christmas. So those are hard. But, even through that, there's just something magical about Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something hard to put your finger on, and why do I feel that way? I just feel like it's a special time.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of bad things with the commercialization and, some unfortunately people not getting along and families not getting along. But I just think there's something there, the potential there.
Yeah.
For something really good.
I would like to share something with y'all. This week, my grandmother has been put into hospice. So a lot of the memories are starting to flood back into my head. And I remember Christmas time at their house. They had the old country house with these little stairs, and they would always put the big tree on the stairs, and all the presents would be down in there. But my grandmother's mother, great-grandma, and every year she made the best oatmeal cookies on the planet.
Wow.
And I mean literally the best oatmeal cookies on the planet. And she would put them in little bags for everybody, except for like 3 people would get a shoebox full of cookies. And you never knew who it was going to be. She just picked 3 different people randomly and put their name on it. And boy, did you want to be the person with that shoebox.
Right.
You were the shit that day. You were the shit, and you knew it. And I remember one year, my grandmother, my brother's name is Carl, and our grandfather's name was Carl also. And one year, my grandmother got this African elephant, wood-carved, gorgeous African elephant with the tusks in it and everything. Well, Santa Claus didn't know any better, so every year one person was Santa Claus to give out all the presents. And they handed this present to my little brother. And he opened it up and sees this elephant, and he's like, and Grandma goes, "Oh, wrong, Carl. That was not for you. That's for Papa." And it was just funny. It just was an amazing. That was a great memory. I like those. Those are the little things that have absolutely nothing to do with commercialism that makes Christmas for me. That's when Christmas was special to me.
Well, I had speaking of Christmas and just that time, I used to be a Christmas light freak, and I would decorate the house. I had thousands of lights.
Okay,
really?
Okay, Chevy Chase.
I had thousands of lights. And then over the course of 2 years, I had somebody vandalize my Christmas lights and stole all my big figurines and everything. And it's just never been the same. And then I tried to come back, and they ended up just basically frying my mother's house. Every circuit, I overloaded the circuits. And after that, I just pretty much gave up on decorating the house. Believe it or not, this year is the first time I've put up a Christmas decoration.
Wow.
Probably since 1990.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
I put a wreath on the door. There's no wires to cut.
Yeah. Hey, it all got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
There is a great picture on the internet of someone repurposing their Halloween stuff, and they took one of these 12-foot skeletons from Halloween, and they turned it around and actually put the lights, the Christmas lights, in its hand like it's the one actually installing the lights.
That's
it's
fun.
Freaking brilliant. It's awesome.
That's really cool.
I love decorated homes, though. I really do. I love to see all the lights and everything. I think that's really
Mallory
nice.
really loves Christmas lights. I came from a home that never really decorated with the Christmas lights outside, but my mom always decorated the house on the inside. She always made sure it was like that Christmas magic. And the thing is, we used to always, she would always decorate for the autumn season too. So whenever it was the first month of school was back in, I just remember the air would kind of get cool around September, October back then sometimes. And I was always looking forward to Thanksgiving because we always had a really big Thanksgiving with my family. And then of course, shortly after that, Christmas was around the corner, and it was just so I always have very fond memories. And my mom even told me that in my adult life. She was no matter what was going on in life, I just wanted you guys to have a good Christmas holiday season. And I was
nice.
Well, you definitely did that because it is a fond time of year in my mind because of that. And I really thank her for that because it shows even now I want to do that for my friends and my family as well. I really enjoy this time of year, and this year
you also do something called Friendsgiving, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Has anybody heard of Friendsmas?
I've not.
No, I have not.
A lady in the office, Miss Kiki, was telling me that she was doing Friendsmas this year, where it's celebrating Christmas with your friends, kind of like Friendsgiving.
Right.
But basically, there's not a lot of presents given out. You lay around in your sleeping clothes and watch movies and maybe partake in an adult beverage or two.
Right.
And just get together
nice.
with your friends and create some memories. And I'm like, I like that. That's
really
a good
cool.
idea. I didn't know if either one of y'all had heard of that. I had never heard of it.
Have y'all been listening to Christmas music in the car?
Can
Every
you
now
help
and then,
but
yeah.
listen to Christmas music in the car? My question is why don't you have the podcast on in your car?
For me, there is for me, I have very specific things. Whenever I'm usually coming home from work, I listen to podcasts. Whenever I'm going to work, I usually listen to music. I don't know what it is. That's kind of my routine. I always like to listen to music on the way home, on the way to work. On the way home, I listen to podcasts.
On the way to work, I listen to motivational stuff to try to get me in the mood.
Right.
To try to get to work and make the day. And on the way back home, I'll either listen to the podcast or to some type of music to kind of clear my head.
Interesting.
I've been listening to a lot of Christmas music.
That's all that's on the radio now.
There's a channel on Sirius that I listen to. It's 1940s type Christmas music.
Okay. That's my favorite.
The big band stuff, and that's
my favorite.
I something about those songs really just, I don't know. They do something for me.
Same. It reminds me of my grandma. It reminds me of my grandma for some reason. That kind of that 40s, 50s, the Bing Crosby, the Frank Sinatra stuff.
Yep.
I always love that kind of music. Even though my personal favorite music and the music that I've made and performed a lot is definitely more in the rock to metalcore genre.
Right.
So it's definitely interesting that another facet is I like learned a lot and really worked my chops in like jazz, like in being a jazz bass player, like a lot. So like there is like this kind of like two sides of the same coin kind of thing where like I may be able to like get down with like rock music a lot, but also like this is like jazz. It's kind of like big band jazz. It's like classic.
Well, that's one of the reasons I
music.
like the movie White Christmas during this time. Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. I just love that movie. It's a great movie. And just the music behind it is good. Just that whole feeling behind it. Is there a Christmas movie that y'all like to watch during this time? I think you said something. You like Peanuts and things like that.
I like the old. I like the old Christmas cartoons, stick figure type. Remember the Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus Coming to Town, Frosty.
I can't remember his name.
All those, of course, Charlie Brown. Any of the Charlie Brown stuff. I love this. To me, was just, I don't know. It's a sense of, I don't know, magical type time.
Right. When Christmas was really Christmas.
Right. It's
the
to
spirit
me,
was a little more appropriate.
Yeah. It's Burl Ives. That's
Burl
the person.
Ives.
Yeah,
Yep.
Burl Ives is the guy I'm thinking of.
I'm just not enamored right now with Christmas as what it's become.
You don't have any kids of your own, is that right?
I have no children.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was going to say.
So, and I've got my, I buy for my sister and her child, and
right.
And we've got some extended family I'll buy some things for, but no.
Yeah.
It's just me, so.
That's always what I've heard a lot of times whenever kids are involved, is when the holidays get a little more.
Christmas is for kids.
Oh, right, yeah.
I
mean, that's always
it's Christmas is for children, and as an adult, I mean, what do you need?
Right.
I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, I just love the again, one thing Mallory and I always kind of we really like a lot is just drinking hot chocolate. Mm-hmm. Just kind of being in that seasonal spirit. I usually have like a playlist I play in the living room, and like we've just kind of chilled out most times and had hot chocolate. And last year I feel like I was at a different place in my career, as well as a different place with this podcast or podcasts that I do and everything else. So I think I had more free time because also Mallory like planned a lot like ahead of time. Whereas this year it's been a little last minute for some things, and I feel like I'm in a new job which is requiring a lot of me, and then of course the shows are doing well, and both shows are doing very well, and so now it's like between everything I'm realizing now that like I'm doing a lot, I'm working a lot, and I feel like this Christmas season I kind of haven't really been present.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm actually kind of surprised since to our listeners here, Ian is also one of the hosts of The Aftermath,
right?
Which is a great podcast on movies and things about life there. You don't have a Christmas movie that kind of stands out for you from your childhood or anything like that?
I didn't have a chance to answer. There is, because I was born in '94. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of those like 90s. Christmas movies, early 2000s. I remember watching like a bunch of. I remember watching the what is the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Christmas.
Turtle Man. I think it's called Jingle All the Way.
Okay.
Yeah. It's anyways. It's like an old it's like a 90s or early 2000s Christmas movie. There's another one. I think it's like I'll Be Home for Christmas. It's another big one. But like the ones that I just remember watching all the time was Home Alone.
Is it really Christmas?
Home Alone.
Is it really Christmas time until Hans Gruber falls off of Nakatomi Plaza?
I don't know what is that?
Die Hard?
Oh, I watched Die Hard for the first time last year for The Aftermath. Okay. And it was like, oh, this is a Christmas movie.
That's a movie I just never seem to just remember.
Uh-oh. Okay, because is it really Christmas time till Hans Gruber falls off the plaza? I'm just wondering, because that's actually, a great Christmas movie.
It is, yeah.
It's not designed to be a Christmas movie.
Right.
But it's just turned into be its time.
Right, of course. I mean, that's cool. Like I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, especially after we watched it. I remember I had.
Did y'all watch it around Christmas time?
We did. We watched it
good.
around this time last year, and that was one of the big questions. Was because Ethan, who is another host on the Aftermath, neither one of us had watched it in our youth. He's my younger brother, by the way, but Dylan, our other co-host, did, and so he was like, "Well, we got to watch it." And of course, the first question we asked right at the top is like, "Is this considered a Christmas movie?" And I'm pretty sure the consensus was that Ethan and I was like, "I could see how you could consider it a Christmas movie."
It's not Christmas until Hans Gruber falls off the plaza. I'm sorry.
Okay,
then it can be Christmas.
Right. So, anyways,
that's funny.
Right. There's a handful of things. The music for me more so than movies.
Well, the music is about hope.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about it, it's really about hope and love and people coming together and enjoying life and finding something besides themselves to find important. Either the kids or the birth of Jesus. Hello.
Right,
that's actually the real, reason for the season, so to speak. Most people don't even realize there's something called Little Christmas. Well, the wise men came and gave their presents to little baby Jesus. Nah, that's not on the day he was born. That's actually celebrated January the 6th, which is Little Christmas, where the wise men came and presented their gifts to Jesus.
The Epiphany.
Yeah. I've always heard of it called Epiphany.
Mm-hmm.
Epiphany. Yeah.
This year, Epiphany, I think it falls like right at the beginning of the year. This year, I think
it's on how the calendar.
I'm pretty sure this year Epiphany is going to fall on the 1st.
So do y'all have any crazy plans for the holiday coming up or what?
No, I really don't. Family.
You're hosting something, I'm sure.
I mean, yes.
You got a party you host?
No, I don't got no. Oh man, no. Okay, so because Friendsgiving went so well.
No, you're gonna do Friendsmas now, aren't you?
You messed up.
I know. I messed up, but that's the thing. So that's it's good. But I will say, ever since Friendsgiving has been and Thanksgiving, both were hosted very well, and it was a great job from everyone involved. It was a wonderful time.
Okay, hear me out. All of Ian's friends get together now and tell him you want him to host Friendsmas now. And put a lot of pressure on him to hold a great Friendsmas. Okay?
The thing is, I don't think I'll ever do that because I really give Christmas to my family, and now that Mallory is a part of my life, I really give it to her family as well. So it's like there's already so much going on, and that's the thing. It's because of this season. There's a lot of stuff I have to do with production stuff that is like dealing with the Christmas season. So like for me this year, it has been just a lot of work, a lot of stuff, and like recording things, photos for stuff, all that kind of stuff. And so for me, like to be honest, I'm excited about just having a little bit of a break before all of that. And so that's what I'm really hoping for. But because Thanksgiving went so well, it's going to be the very same thing probably next year. But I don't think I'm going to host. The only thing I'm going to host is my family here at my home. That's what I was saying. Like yes and no. There's like a technicality with that.
Oh, he's giving me the side evil eye. You see that?
Don't give anyone any ideas.
That's okay. What about you, Jason? What you got going on?
Oh, just I'm gonna get together with my family and Christmas Eve, and really I'm gonna go to midnight mass. And then go to bed.
Yeah, right. Promptly afterwards.
That'll be about an hour and a half. So I'll probably be getting home about 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And then Christmas Day is really just I don't really do much on Christmas Day. When you got a small family, it's not like my sister will probably be off with her in-laws, and I'm gonna just be at the house.
Cool.
I mean,
it's not
chilling
bad.
out.
The good thing for me is like I'm gonna get, I think I get Monday and Tuesday off because of the office I work in. So it's like I'm just excited about that. I'm just gonna have a good chance to just relax and sit
at the house.
Oh yeah, just have some
brew
time.
some coffee.
Yeah,
it'll be cold.
It'll be really cold.
It'll be cold.
And I love that. I love that's what I meant. Like last year was a very hot Christmas around here in Louisiana. It gets. It fluctuates, it feels like from year to year. I mean, obviously from week to week, but sometimes you'll have a cold Christmas, sometimes it'll be 80 degrees. And I'm pretty sure last year it was like mid 70s, which I'm like, it may not be so bad for some people, but I was like, no, thank you. Like I want to bundle up on the couch, not like crank the AC down. Like, let's not.
Well,
Anyway,
you'll have the heater on.
I mean, yeah, probably a little bit. So I'm excited.
Well, maybe on one of those days off, I can come get some editing lessons.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd like to see how y'all do all that. I don't know how to do any of that.
I'm learning. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is a process, and it is something that I have realized that I've streamlined. I had a wonderful discussion with some people that I worked with, or the band that I work with. The guitarists and the bassist are all standing there, and I was sitting with them talking, and we had a really cool. This is kind of a tangent, by the way. Sorry,
Squirrel.
Everyone buckle up for a second. Mm-hmm. It'll all make sense. They had talked about a luthier that has like really perfected the art of like tuning, I think they call it. There's a term that they called it. Resetting, like the guitar, where he resets the frets, he gets the nut all re-tuned up the right way, gets the bridge all lined up, and all the fine detail stuff to make the instrument easy to play. Mm-hmm. There's little things you can tweak, with the action of the neck and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that normal people could probably do, but he's a professional that can do it really well. And we were all talking about this, and they're he has worked on this for years, and he can just do it better than probably anyone else can. And we were talking about how there's probably little things that he knows about that he probably can't put into words, but it's just from years of doing it and probably a handful of times of screwing up. Can he then, has he gotten to where he can master this thing? I was that's so true. And again, one of the guitarists was in my previous career, I was a carpenter, and he's I've done carpentry for a long, long time. And I was there's probably numerous things that, you and me could probably start the same project. And there are so many things that you could probably just subconsciously know about or know what to and not to do, that me as a rookie, I'm just going to either follow the instructions or do it incorrectly.
Right.
And then wonder why it's not quite the way I want it. Whereas you could probably do, and I was the same way with coffee. It's the same way with running sound for a band or you name it. And that was what we were talking about. And I was it's probably the same sort of scenario with that is you just do something so many times, you edit a project so many times, you just get in a routine where someone that's just starting may not realize of these shortcuts or these little things, little quirks until you do it, 500 times over the course.
That's why you're going to need to host Friends Mess a couple of times.
No, he is pushing that on you.
I know he is because he
that.
wants me to buy him some whiskey. I think is what I'm kidding. So he wants a nice gift.
Matter of fact, I need to go to the beverage store too this week. I got to go pick up a few things.
I just recently got something from my brother. If you're listening, you didn't hear that, but I definitely got him a little something nice.
Okay.
So I was hoping that I was hoping they had the specific bottle that I wanted, and I walked in there and they only had one or two left. I was okay, that's it. This is the day. I didn't want to buy it right now, but I was but it's gonna happen. It's gotta happen.
I need to get me some some Angel's Envy old finished rye.
Oh, that's some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we got to get that.
That's a good one.
All right.
Get that.
I want to try your cold duck.
Oh yeah,
I need to try some.
Matter
of that stuff.
That's what I have to go buy at the beverage store because it's the only place I can find it. So I'll probably go get about 3 bottles, and we'll have that for Christmas. Thanksgiving and Christmas is usually when I drink it. Outside of that,
yeah, that's okay.
Not at all.
Okay, so you said you guys? I think you said you guys liked eggnog, right?
Oh,
yes. I love eggnog, but it's terrible for you.
Oh, I know, but I love Southern Comfort eggnog. It's just my favorite brand, and so far,
so much sugar.
I know, but I'm just I don't have it a lot. But
have you put the Southern Comfort in it yet?
I mean, yeah, I have a little bit.
Just making sure.
It's fun.
Just making sure. But that's the best part.
Yeah, and so I remember I had a little bit of it over the weekend, and I was man, it's so rich, and I only have a little bit. Usually after I'll eat something, so it's not, I'm not just sitting here drinking ice cream.
How fast do you take down your Christmas decorations after Christmas?
Usually
about Little Christmas. And my family with my mom and dad and all that, it was Little Christmases when they came down.
Right. And that's kind of what I've always, you leave everything up to past the Epiphany.
Or the end of the first week of January, they would come down.
Right. Same way. The rule of thumb that we've always done is kind of like the new year. Mm-hmm. Once January rolls around, we kind of get around to it. It's kind of Do you guys do anything? I mean, I know we're probably going to talk about this at the end of the year episode, but do you guys have any fun routines you do for New Year's? Anything?
I usually go to my godkids' house in South Louisiana and just hang out with them. I'm the godfather of 4 kids in one family.
There you go.
And just hang out with them.
That's
and Miranda has been going with me, and Magnus may, if he survives, he might come. He might come this year.
It's getting critical around there.
Yeah.
And you shoot fireworks?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
That's the thing. That's why I don't do Friends misses, because a lot of times I do Friendsgiving, and then the next big event that we always have is New Year's. I usually invite everyone over for New Year's, and we always have a bunch of fireworks. I've got a big field out back that we just do a lot of dumb.
I'm gonna tell you what,
in.
that's expensive.
Oh yeah.
Fireworks.
Oh yeah.
That is probably the biggest ripoff there is.
The markup on that is 1,000%.
It's crazy.
I usually supply the liquor and sometimes the snacks.
You're coming out better.
I mean, yeah. Well, and then sometimes I'll buy a few things, like little bundles of things or whatever. But then I have some friends that are like really invested in it, and they'll kind of go all out and buy some really big stuff, and they always have a fun time.
Do they still sell bottle rockets?
I think so.
Sort of.
I think off the record, wink, wink. Yeah, I mean, no,
it's not
they
the same
don't.
as what we had when we were kids, when we had the bottle rocket wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
love
probably
those
why.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
One street versus the other.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
All quiet on the Eastern Front.
Right. So yeah, that's the big thing for me. Like I'm gonna try and go to Total Wine and try and find myself that bottle of Pol Roger that I really want to get for New Year's, because that's what I really want for myself for New Year's. But I just recently over the weekend for a Christmas party, I brought another champagne that I've really been enjoying, Nicolas Fouillet. It was really good as well. I just really been, I still have been really on a big champagne kick, so
That's
I've been
okay.
having a lot of fun with that. So, but yeah,
You gonna cook something?
maybe. We're still trying to decide that. A lot of times I have Christmas Eve, I have like a full Christmas with my mom on Christmas Eve, because usually we do like the candlelight service at the church, and we do all that kind of stuff. So I think that she's considering either it's going to be cold, so she's like, maybe we should make like a chili or something, or make like a
chili or gumbo.
yeah,
might be good this week.
Right, yeah. That's what she was saying. So we're still kind of considering, the finer points of what we may do.
I'm doing my yearly gumbo at work Wednesday.
Oh, fun.
Yep. So
is it
good?
Bring your friend to work day? Is that going to be it?
Yes. Yeah, can I come?
Yeah, right.
Jason, you can come.
Yeah, I love a good gumbo.
Right. I do it yearly at our work, so it'll be all right.
That's cool.
And everybody from the whole campus decides to show up.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yeah, free food.
I mean,
free good food. Hopefully,
that's what I'm saying. Is like you can bring out the whole block whenever you bring just food, but whenever it's like good food, you gotta be careful.
Yeah, once people are like, some of that.
So there was another there was like a community event where we had numerous people come around for like this kind of like potluck style thing for the office I work at, and I was my boss had told me his words specifically whenever I said I'm not sure what I want to bring to this event that we have going on. He's like, there's only one thing you need to bring. And he's referencing my cookies, the chocolate chip cookies that I've like worked very hard to like perfect the recipe on that I really like.
Are they special cookies?
Yes. Well, no, not that.
Not that kind of special.
Not that kind of special cookies. No, but like this, but
I was like, well, I want some of these cookies.
No. So these are the everyone considers them special because I don't bring them out all the time. I only do it for big events or holiday season stuff.
What about the co-host for your podcast? Will there be any of these cookies for the
I'm sorry, I'm
podcast?
tapped out for the season.
Man.
I
know where we rank.
The thing is, here there may be one left, and if you want to, I'll split it with you. Yes, I'm telling you. Well, okay. Well, anyways, we'll get there in a second. I made 4 different batches this year. 2 of them were for that event,
and we didn't get any. Just remember that, Jason.
Are these
4
big,
batches, and we got no
big
cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies?
Yeah.
Or these kind of like this?
These are big chocolate chip cookies.
4 batches, and he couldn't even put a little
Are
bag
they
of a couple
soft?
cookies.
Okay, so just so I can tell you the story about this, and also for anybody
'Cause I like
at
them
home.
soft.
So I had a friend of mine who is like a culinary professional, and I told him I don't want to be able to bake everything. I don't want to be like a jack of all trades. I want to be able to bake one thing really well, and I want it to be a chocolate chip cookie.
Okay.
And he was like, I got you, hold on. And he like went to like a binder and like flipped through some stuff and had like this really good starting recipe for how to make a good chocolate chip cookie. And he's like, it's not going to be anything special, but you can add and subtract some things and work some things out, and I'll give you some pointers until like you can make something that's like truly specialized and catered towards what you like, if that's the way you want to go with this. And I was like, that's perfect. And so over the course of like a year or so, a handful of years ago, like I have made them a couple times and really like tweaked them here and there and changed some things. And I really have nailed down like what I love in a chocolate chip cookie, and it's the one that we have there.
We
And
wouldn't know.
I wouldn't
know.
We
Jason,
wouldn't know.
I know, I know.
We've been left out of this equation here.
Trust me when I say I'm really sorry. I didn't know that it was going to be such a sore subject.
To all the listeners,
But so
Friends
so,
Mess. Friends
No,
Mess.
no,
Y'all just
no,
remember,
no.
Ian wants to host
No.
Hit us up.
No,
We're hit us up.
I do
Please
not want to host something for Christmas. It is too short a notice to be hosting anything.
There's
here.
always next year, people. Just remember that.
Maybe you can convince me next year, but definitely not this
I'm
year.
gonna tell you what I had. Speaking of chocolate chip cookies, I was out of town. I stayed at a DoubleTree last weekend, and they give people checking in 2 big giant chocolate chip cookies. And I'm gonna tell you, that was some of the best chocolate chip cookies I ever had.
Okay.
They were delicious. They were
I believe
warm.
it.
They were soft, and they were delicious. And I mean, I gobbled those things down.
So just to tell you how here's how the story continues. I made these cookies and I made them exactly how I wanted them, and I was like, these are the perfect cookies for me. And then I made them for my family and all my family. It was I think for Christmas last year or Thanksgiving or something. And everyone was like, "Oh my God, these are amazing!" And I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, they're my family. It's no big deal." And then I believe I made them for my staff at work, and everyone was like, "What in the world are these?" And I was like, "Okay." So I mean, like, and now that we got some other opinions that aren't biased and don't really care about me, Mallory was like, "Hey, my staff's having a little thing. Is it okay if we?" I think it's like a Valentine's Day party or something or whatever they were doing, like a little off the wall thing. And she was like, "Do you want to make some cookies for them?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll do that. It's no big deal." So I pulled out the recipe again and I made it for them. And they were quaking at these cookies. They were like, "Oh my, what he must have. There must be some magic in these cookies." And I was like, "Okay, so now I have a following of people that have like really been enjoying these cookies." And so whenever my boss had said like, "There's only one thing you need to make," that was what he was referencing because he's had them before. So I made.
And yet we haven't.
Well, again, I'm only. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on 1 second.
We're talking about pressure.
There is one left, and I will give it to you guys if that's what you want. Anyways, so I forgot what the start of that story was, but I have been making those cookies this year to sate all my fans.
I love chocolate chip cookies.
I know. So there's some real magic in there, and so anyways, that's been one of the things.
I want to taste one of these cookies. Now you've got me wanting chocolate chip cookies here.
Okay, well there you go. The big thing about this year has been the fact that I've made so many because I want to say last holiday season is when like I really started making them for people, and now they were like, "So you gonna make some cookies for us?" So that's another one of the things this year.
You gonna make some cookies for us?
I can. You just gotta give me some time. This season, I have only made them like because I want like one.
I don't know. Sounds like he's got a couple days off coming up, right, Jason?
Yeah.
One batch of cookies usually makes a dozen, and they're like pretty big sized cookies, and so far I've done 4 of them, which is the most I've ever done like in a small. I've always done 1 dozen every few months or so for an event, and so these are definitely I feel like I'm cookied out because I've made them so many times. But anyways,
All righty.
Thank you for
Thank you for putting me on the spot.
Thank you for putting me on the spot. That's okay though. I mean, I feel like I've done a pretty good job. It's been a lot of work, and like with many things we've talked about, is when you put like care and intention to something. I think it really shows.
So not only is he the coffee master, he's the
chocolate chip cookie master.
He's the cookie master. So
I wouldn't say that. Like I said, I didn't want to. I went into this, and that's the whole reason why I tell people that. As I was like, I told my friend, I was like, I want to kind of get, because I'm very particular. I like I'm a perfectionist in a lot of ways. That's why I think I like coffee and ratios and grams and like really locking down things and getting them perfect, which is very much like a baking thing. I like the freedom of cooking. I like that I can just do a little pinch of that, throw in a handful of that, and it could, it turns out something. But I do like the aspect of the precision of baking. And I told him, I was like, I don't want to get into I don't need a whole crash course. I don't need to get into like the weeds right now. Maybe one day I'll do something crazy and I'll make something else. I'll get into brownies or something, or a cake or whatever.
They say baking, some people have it when it comes to baking, and you could be a great cook but not a great baker. And it just,
and that's kind of what started it. I was like, I feel like I'm particular enough that I can really make something nice here.
That's probably why, because you care about to like the smallest detail,
right? And so when he gave me the recipe and I told him, I was like, I don't want to be I don't want to be able to cook everything. I just want to or bake everything. I want to be able to bake one thing really well. I want to be able to make chocolate chip cookies that'll just knock someone's socks off.
We're going to have to see.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll wear socks that day.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, hold on while I grab my socks. I want to
taste the chocolate chip cookie.
Okay. Well, anyways, thank you for listening to this wonderful holiday episode. I hope it cheered you up in some way. And it's,
we got some Christmas talk in there.
I know that.
Right?
Yeah. It was more of a wintry episode, Christmas adjacent. Anyways, for anybody out there, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. If you're looking to get in touch with us or give us some more ideas or topics, you can go to facebook.com/retrospectpod and you can reach out to us there. Or you can go to linktree/retrospectpod and see all the different platforms that we're on, or other ways to probably get in contact with us. But anyways, until next time, bye-bye.
Merry Christmas and God bless.
Normally I end with peace, but today I would like to tell everybody that this is the most dangerous time of the year to be on the road. Christmas holidays, parties, travel, and unhappy family members all combine for the perfect storm. Please be safe and find peace.